Will Howard going to take an official visit to Ohio State this weekend after having already OV'd to Miami and one other school, I believe. He's already taken an OV to. And here's what tipped me off to this one. Okay, notable, like very notable, very front-facing Miami super booster, Mike Ryan, executive producer of the Dan Le Batard Show, tweeted today that Will Howard and Ohio State has been a done deal for 2 weeks. That Will Howard's representation let Miami know on his official visit that, like, we're here. I mean, we're here because we have to be here, but we're going to Ohio State. So it sounds like this one's a done deal. And I got to be honest, I don't know what to think about this one here. He's played in 34 games, and he's been highly, highly inefficient doing so. 58% completion percentage with a 7.4 yards per attempt. Now, we just got done talking about DJU. DJU completed less than 60% of his balls this year, but averaged almost 9 yards an attempt. So he was driving the ball down the field. Like I said, the difficulty of throw was much, much higher for him than it was here. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I study Kansas State football. I don't. But I know Skylar Thompson completed 70% of his balls on that team in 2021. And I know that Skylar Thompson beat Will Howard out for his job. I also know that one of the 17,000 Martinez brothers that have been playing quarterback in the Big Ten and the Big 12 was also on this roster and beat Will Howard out and also completed 65% of his passes. So it ain't the system. It must be Will Howard. And what you must say is, oh, well, he must protect the football. Maybe there's some selective throwaways here. You'd be wrong. 48 touchdowns in his career to 25 interceptions. He's basically 2-1. Every touchdown he throws, he's going to throw a pick. Here's my thing. I don't understand this. I really don't. I don't know why this guy is, and maybe he goes to Ohio State and lights it up, and this will be a great soundbite. But I have a long history of not only this dude not even being good enough to start at Kansas State, okay, getting beat out by the likes of Skylar Thompson, who is an NFL football player. Okay, he's on the Miami Dolphins roster. But a Martinez who, you know what I mean? Like, not great, Bob. All right, so this is the history and this is the track record of Will Howard. This is a running quarterback who has a propensity to turn the football over and be a strugglesome passer. You had Devin Brown on your roster. What are you doing? Like, that's what you just passing up to apparently do this one. This one to me does not make very much sense.
This to me screams we were all in on Cam Ward. Cam Ward basically said, actually, I think I'll go to the draft. And you panicked and were like, we got to take someone.
I just don't think it makes any sense for Howard in general, because if that's what your stat line was at Kansas State, why on earth are we going to a place like the Big Ten? I know that they're going to add in some other opponents, but why are we going to a place that is loud and proud about defense and being a great defense? So they do have some very great defenses up there. Why are we putting ourselves in that position to go play against that when it seemed like also like I mean obviously I don't have intel on the Walker Howard camp, but could have gone to a place like USC, who is going to go to the Big Ten, but like, man, at least you're going to be with Lincoln Riley and you're going to be an offense that maybe you can do something. I don't know. That's weird to me.
The completion percentage is staggering.
Yeah. And it's weird to me because like when he entered the portal, everybody's like, that's the number one guy in the portal right now. Like, that's the best quarterback in the portal right now. That's kind of how people made it out to be.
I ain't gonna act like I've been sitting out here grinding tape on Kansas State football, but that has always been a well-balanced rushing attack.
Yep.
Every year. Like every year. They run the football. They got good line of scrimmage play. They're going to be physical. They're going to do all that stuff. They're not going to be out here tossing it around 45 times a night.
Heck, the Vaughn kid was the offense last year.
Yeah, Deuce Vaughn was the guy.
He was the dude.
And by the way, like, I don't love that this guy was – I mean, he ended up being the guy in both those seasons, right? Skylar Thompson, I think, either got hurt or ultimately they ended up going the Will Howard direction. The same thing happened with the Martinez kid. They opened the season with Martinez. They ultimately go to Will Howard, and he performs the way that he had. But, this is a far drop from like, oh, yeah, we got the next guy that's going to come in and potentially be in the Heisman race. I mean, I would have rather seen Ohio State take a stab at like Riley Leonard over this.
Yeah.
How much does this warm up Ryan Day's seat? Because I mean, you're at the point now where the last 2 months haven't been great for you. You got boxed by Michigan again. You had a poor showing in the bowl game against an SEC team, and now you're going out and getting a quarterback that, let's be honest, isn't going to light the world on fire. We don't think so.
Is Harbaugh staying in Michigan?
we'll get to that.
Because that's all that's going to matter. Like that's all Michigan fans care, or Ohio State fans care about right now. Are we good enough to beat Michigan? And if Jim Harbaugh's gone, you do not fire your coach. You do not, because you now became the stability point in the Big Ten.
Mm.
So I think that ultimately weighs in on how much of a hot seat this guy has.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, the grass always greener type deal, but you know you got the greenest lawn in the neighborhood if Ryan Day's your head coach and Michigan's coachless.
Yeah.
Right. You get beat by Sharon Moore again though.
Well, I mean, do you at this point? Because you've got the eventual. I mean, Washington's going to be in your conference.
Yeah.
Oregon's going to be in the conference.
Yeah.
So it's like
both those teams taking a step back next year. You would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to know what USC is going to do.
That's my next question. It's not just USC. It's Miami, too.
Yeah. Is
like
it
USC and Miami are out to dry right now.
Miller Moss, I guess?
Yeah, you roll with Miller Moss through for 6 tuds.
Didn't look – I mean, it looked great in the bowl game, but –
Shouts out Lincoln Riley's quarterback development.
Hey, shout out to that. But, I mean, I don't know. It just – like, especially with the timing of everything, it was like, all right, Singleton gone. He's no longer here. Obviously, that means that – A, maybe that doesn't mean Lincoln Riley is necessarily a believer in him, but B, they see someone that's better in the portal that they want to take, and it looked like it was going to be Howard. That seemed like who they had kind of circled in. That's kind of what everybody assumed they were going to take. And now you look at the QB market, and it went from, holy crap, there's a bunch of names in here, to who are you going to get now? Like, what are you going to do?
Chat's talking about how Ryan Day had and lost Quinn Ewers. That was pre-Jesus Quinn. That doesn't count.
Yeah.